Hello everybody, this is Refresh and I am here to bring you a battle between two Core Set 2021 sealed decks and the Face the Hydra challenge deck from Theros. Because both of our sealed decks are Mardu decks, you'll see them sleeved in black and red. I'll be referring to them by their sleeve color. And if you'd like to see how these decks were built, you can check the links in the description box below. They'll have the deck building of these as well as the battle between them and the other challenge decks as well. We'll be playing two games, first on normal difficulty and then on hard mode. And for these games, we'll be using two hero cards. The first hero card is the Harvester. It says tap, draw a card, then discard a card. And the second is the Warrior, which says tap, target creature you control gains haste until end of turn. Since I only have one copy of each of these cards, we'll be using them for both decks simultaneously. We'll start on normal difficulty with 3 Hydra heads and begin by drawing our opening hands. Black draws a Swamp, a Blood Glutton, a Swamp, a Silver Smoke Ghoul, a Plains, a Demonic Embrace, and a Bone Pit Brute. It's a bit of a slow start, but I think we can keep it off of the fact that it's mostly black and I can cast 2 of the 3 drops here. Red draws a Swamp, a Basri's Lieutenant, a Shock, a Havoc Jester, a Swamp, a Mountain, and a Mountain. This is a bit on the slow side, but I think that we still have to keep this one. We'll get started by playing a Swamp over here and a Mountain over here. And then we will pass to the Hydra. The Hydra will cast the topmost card. This is a Grown from the Stump. It says put exactly 2 cards named Hydra Head onto the battlefield from the Hydra's graveyard. If you can't reveal cards from the top of the Hydra's library until you reveal a head card, put that card onto the graveyard and the rest into the Hydra's graveyard. We have a Hydra Head. This is a 0/3 head, and when it leaves the battlefield, each player gains 2 life. And then the Hydra will deal 4 damage to both players, taking them down to 16 each. And at the end of the Hydra's turn, we'll use the Harvester. Black draws a Swamp, and we will discard the Bone Pit Brute. Red draws a Mountain, and we will discard a Mountain. We'll untap. Black draws a Shock. Red draws a Swamp. We'll play a Swamp over here. We'll play another Swamp over here. We don't have anything that we can cast just yet. I think we're going to see if we can draw into that. So we'll use the Harvester again. Black draws a Swamp, and we'll discard the Swamp. Red draws a Swamp, and we'll discard the Swamp. We still don't have anything to cast, and so we'll pass the turn to the Hydra. The Hydra will cast the topmost card. This is a Ravenous Brute head. This is a 0/6 Elite head, and when it leaves the battlefield, each player gains 2 life and draws a card. The assembled heads will deal 6 damage to both players, taking them to 10 each. And then we'll untap. Black draws a Mountain. Red draws a Walking Corpse. Red will play a Swamp. Black will play a Mountain. Black will tap 3 and cast the Silver Smoke Ghoul. This is a 3/1 zombie vampire at the beginning of the end step. If you gained 3 or more life this turn, return it from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. You can pay 1 black and sacrifice it to draw a card. Red will tap both black and then cast a Walking Corpse. This is a 2/2 zombie. And then we'll tap the Warrior to give both of these haste. We will attack, swinging into the Ravenous Brute head, which will deal it at 5 damage. And then Red will tap the Mountain and cast Shock. This is an instant. It says it deals 2 damage to any target to finish off the Ravenous Brute head. The Ravenous Brute head dies. We reveal 2 cards to see if there are any new heads. We have another Ravenous Brute head and a Snapping Fang head. This is a 0/8 Elite head. At the beginning of the Hydra's end step, Snapping Fang head deals 1 damage to each player. And when it leaves the battlefield, each player gains 4 life and draws a card. We'll gain 2 life apiece to go up to 12. And then we'll draw a card each. Black draws a Village Rites. Red draws a Shock. And then we will go to the Hydra's turn. The Hydra will cast the topmost card, which is a Hydra head. And then at the end of the Hydra's turn, we're going to take 10 damage to take us down to 2 life each. And we'll use the Harvester. Black draws a Swamp, and we will discard a Swamp. Red draws a Liliana's Devotee, and we will discard the Basri's Lieutenant. Then we'll untap. Black draws a Fetid Imp. Red draws a Sure Strike. Red will play a Mountain. Black will play the Swamp. Black will spend 3 mana and cast Demonic Embrace. This is an aura, enchant creature. It gets +3/+1 and has flying and is a demon in addition to its other types. You may cast it from your graveyard by paying 3 life and discarding a card in addition to paying its other costs. This makes it a 6/2 flying demon zombie vampire. Red will tap 3 mana and cast a Liliana's Devotee. This is a 2/3 human warlock. Zombies you control get +1/+0 at the beginning of your end step. If a creature died this turn, you may pay 1 and a black. If you do, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. We're going to tap the warrior to give Liliana's Devotee haste, and then we will go to combat. Silver Smoke Ghoul will attack the Snapping Fang head. The Walking Corpse will attack a regular Hydra head, and the Liliana's Devotee will attack another regular Hydra head. We will defeat 1 Hydra head. From the Walking Corpse, we'll gain 2 life apiece to go up to 4 each. And then we'll reveal 2 cards to see if there are any new heads. There is another Hydra head. Black will tap the Mountain to cast Shock, targeting the Snapping Fang head, which will defeat it. We'll gain 4 life apiece to go up to 8. And then we'll reveal 2 cards to see if there are any new heads. And then red will tap a Mountain and cast Shock to finish off the head that the Liliana's Devotee attacked. We'll gain 2 life to go up to 10. We should have also drawn a card off the Snapping Fang head. So black will draw a Scorching Dragonfire, and red will draw a Grasp of Darkness. And then we are going to reveal 2 cards to see if there are any new heads. And then we are tapped out. We will pass to the Hydra, which will cast the topmost card. That is a Noxious Hydra Breath. It deals 5 damage to each player or destroy each tapped non-head creature. At this point, if we want to survive, we're going to have to destroy all of the creatures. And so we will lose the Silver Smoke Ghoul and the Demonic Embrace. We'll lose the Walking Corpse as well as Liliana's Devotee. And then we're going to take 7 damage to go down to 3 each. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Black draws a Caged Zombie, and we will discard the Caged Zombie. Red draws a Fetid Imp, and we will discard the Grasp of Darkness. We'll untap. Black draws an Archfiend's Vessel. Red draws a Kitesail Freebooter. Red will play the Swamp. Black will play the Plains. Black will tap the Plains and the Swamp to cast a Fetid Imp. This is a 1/2 imp with flying. You can pay black to give it Death Touch until end of turn. Red will spend 2 mana and also cast a Fetid Imp. And then we'll tap the warrior to give them both haste. We'll go to combat and we'll give them both each Death Touch. We'll swing into one of the Hydra heads and the Ravenous Brute head, finishing them off. We'll gain 4 life apiece to go up to 7. We'll reveal 4 cards to see if there are any new heads. And then we'll draw a card each off the Death of the Ravenous Brute head. Black draws a Blood Glutton. Red draws a Mountain. And then we will pass the turn to the Hydra. The Hydra will cast the topmost card. This is Hydra's Impenetrable Hide. Each head gains Indestructible until the end of the Hydra's next turn. While this is on the stack, black will tap these 2 and cast Scorching Dragonfire, targeting a Hydra head. This is an instant. It deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If that creature or planeswalker would die this turn, exile it instead. We will defeat one of the Hydra heads, getting us 2 more life to go up to 9. We'll reveal 2 cards to see if there are any new heads. Then the Hydra's Impenetrable Hide resolves, and now the Hydras have Indestructible. We'll take 4 damage apiece to go down to 5 each. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Black will draw a Griffin Airy, and we will discard the Archfiend's Vessel. Red will draw a Village Rites, and we will discard the Kitesail Freebooter. We'll untap. Black draws a Mountain. Red draws a Caged Zombie. Red will play the Mountain. Black will play the Mountain. Red will spend 5 mana and cast a Havoc Jester. This is a 5/5 Devil. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent, it deals 1 damage to any target. Black will tap 5 and cast a Blood Glutton. This is a 4/3 vampire with lifelink. We'll tap the warrior to give all of the new creatures haste, and we'll go to combat. Each one will attack its own separate creature, and then we will use the swamps to give each of the fetid imps death touch. This will defeat all 4 Hydra heads, getting us 8 life each, taking us up to 13 each. And black will gain an additional 4 life to go up to 17. Then we'll reveal 8 cards to see if there are any new heads. We're tapped out, so we'll go to the Hydra. The Hydra will cast the topmost card, which is a Hydra head. We'll take 2 damage from the assembled heads to go down to 15 and 11. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Black draws a mountain, we'll discard the mountain. Red draws a plains, and we will discard the Sure Strike. We'll untap. Black draws a Kitesail Freebooter. Red draws a mountain. Red will play the plains. Black will tap 2 mana and cast the Griffin Airy. This is an enchantment at the beginning of the end step. If you gain 3 or more life this turn, create a 2/2 white Griffin creature token with flying. Black will spend 3 mana and cast the Cage Zombie. This is a 2/3 zombie, and for 1 and a black and tap, each opponent loses 2 life. Activate this ability only if a creature died this turn. We'll tap one of the swamps to give the fetid imp over here death touch, and then we'll go to combat. We'll swing with the Blood Glutton and the fetid imp into the 2 remaining Hydra heads, defeating them. Red will gain 4 life to go up to 15, and black will gain 8 life to go up to 23. We'll reveal 4 cards to see if there are any new heads. We have a Ravenous Brute head, and then we'll go to the end step. The Griffin Airy will trigger and we'll get a Griffin, and we will go to the Hydra's turn. The Hydra will cast the topmost card. So I just missed that we missed the Hydra's Impenetrable Hide, and we couldn't have killed these 3 Hydra heads a while back. And in the end, I don't think it would have mattered. We did get some inevitability. So we'll just play out as we have been. The Hydra will cast the topmost card, which is Disorienting Glower. Players can't cast spells until the Hydra's next turn. We'll take 2 damage each, taking black to 21 and red to 13. We'll use the Harvester. Black draws a Direfleet Warmonger. We'll discard the Kitesail Freebooter. Red draws a Swamp, and we'll discard the Swamp. We'll untap. Black will draw a Windscarred Crag. Red will draw a Deathbloom Thallid. Red will play the Mountain, and black will play the Windscarred Crag. It's a land. It enters the battlefield tapped. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life, and you can tap it for red or white. We'll gain a life to go up to 22. Red will tap 3 mana and cast a Deathbloom Thallid. This is a 3/2 fungus, and when it dies, create a 1/1 green sapling creature token. Black will spend 5 mana and cast another Blood Glutton. We'll tap the warrior to give our 2 new creatures haste, but we'll only swing with 2 Blood Gluttons into the Ravenous Brute head. This will defeat the head. And then we'll reveal 2 cards to see if there are any new heads. Black will gain 8 life to go up to 30, and we'll draw a card each off the death of the Ravenous Brute head. Black draws a Swamp. Red draws a Hobble Fiend. Red will go ahead and tap 2 mana to play the Hobble Fiend. This is a 2/1 Devil with Trample, and you can pay 1 to sacrifice another creature to put a +1/+1 counter on the Hobble Fiend. And then we'll go to the end step. On the end step, we will trigger the Griffin Airy and we'll get another Griffin. And then we'll go to the Hydra's turn. The Hydra will cast the topmost card, which is Unified Lunge. And right now I realized that we couldn't have cast this Blood Glutton because of the Hydra's Prohibition. So we'll put that back, we'll untap 5, and then we will get, and then we'll lose 4 life to go down to 26. Instead, we'll have tapped one of these Griffins to finish off the Brute head, and we should not have been able to cast the Hobble Fiend, so we'll go ahead and put this back. Nor should we have been able to cast the Deathbloom Thallid, so we'll untap these as well. Back to Unified Lunge. Unified Lunge deals X damage to each player, where X is the number of heads on the battlefield. That's 1. We'll take 3 damage each, that taking black down to 23 and red down to 10. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Black draws a Scorching Dragonfire, and we will discard the Swamp. Red draws a Gormand, and we will discard the Village Rites. We'll untap. Black draws a Scorching Dragonfire. Red draws a Terror of the Peaks. I think we just go to combat and we'll try to finish this head off with Blood Glutton. This defeats the head. Black will gain 6 life to go up to 29. Red will gain 2 life to go up to 12. We'll reveal 2 cards to see if there are any new heads. And we finally defeat the Hydra on normal difficulty. We'll be right back for hard mode. Time for the second game. We are on hard mode with 4 Hydra heads assembled. We'll go ahead and draw our opening hands. Black draws a Swamp, Veto, Thorn of the Dusk Rose, Kitesail Freebirder, Mountain, Swamp, Archfiend's Vessel, and Blood Glutton. It's not a great hand, but I think we can keep it. Red draws a Hobble Fiend, a Grasp of Darkness, Sure Strike, Terror of the Peaks, Gourmand, Plains, and Basri's Lieutenant. We cannot keep a hand with only 1 land, which is the off-color land, so we'll mulligan. Red draws a Havoc Jester, a Mountain, a Havoc Jester, a Plains, Terror of the Peaks, Basri's Lieutenant, and Mountain. I don't love this hand, but because we can eventually cast everything in it, we'll keep it. We'll take one of the Havoc Jesters and stick it at the bottom. We'll go ahead and get started. Black will play a Swamp. We'll tap it and cast an Archfiend's Vessel. This is a 1/1 human cleric with lifelink. When it enters the battlefield, if it entered from your graveyard or you cast it from your graveyard, exile it. If you do, create a 5/5 black demon creature token with flying. And red will play a Mountain. We will use the warrior to give the vessel haste and we'll attack one of the Hydra heads with the Archfiend's Vessel. That will give us 1 more life for black, taking them up to 21, and then we'll pass the turn to the Hydra. The Hydra will cast the topmost card, which is Hydra's Impenetrable Hide. We'll put this right here so we don't forget this time. And then we'll take 4 damage apiece, taking black down to 17 and red down to 16. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Black draws a Scorching Dragonfire, which we'll keep, and we'll discard the Kitesail Freebooter. Red will draw a Swamp, and we will discard the Havoc Jester. We'll untap. Black draws a Mountain. Red draws a Spellgorger Weird. Red will play a Swamp. Black will play a Mountain. Since the heads have Indestructible, there's no reason to attempt to kill one with Scorching Dragonfire, but we can still attack to gain the life, which we'll do with the Archfiend's Vessel, gaining us a life for black, taking them up to 18. And then we will pass to the Hydra. The Hydra will cast the topmost card, which is a Distract the Hydra. Each player may sacrifice a creature. Each player who sacrificed a creature this way chooses a head and taps it. Each player who didn't sacrifice a creature loses 3 life. We'll go ahead and sacrifice the Archfiend's Vessel and tap this head, and then red will lose 3 life to go down to 13. We'll take 3 damage apiece to go down to 15 and 10. At the end of the turn, we'll use the Harvester. Black draws a Shock, and we will discard the Shock. Red draws a Grasp of Darkness, and we will discard the Grasp of Darkness. We'll untap. Black draws a Swamp. Red draws a Kitesail Freebooter. Red will play the Plains. Black will play a Swamp. Black will tap out. We'll cast Veto, Thorn of the Dusk Rose. This is a 1/3 legendary vampire cleric. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. And for 3 black creatures you control, gain lifelink until the end of turn. Red will tap out and we'll cast the Spellgorger Weird. This is a 2/2 Weird, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Go ahead and tap the warrior to give each of these haste, and we'll swing at the head. The head dies. We'll gain 2 life apiece to go up to 17 and 12. And then we'll reveal 2 cards to see if there are any new heads. And then we'll pass to the Hydra's turn. The Hydra will untap, and then we'll cast the topmost card, which is a Ravenous Brute head. We'll be taking 5 damage each to go down to 12 and 7. And then we'll use the Harvester. Black draws a Windscarred Crag, and we will discard a Swamp. Red draws a Swamp, and we will discard the Kitesail Freebooter. We'll untap. Black will draw a Blood Glutton, and red will draw a Hobble Fiend. Red will play a Mountain, and black will play the Windscarred Crag, and it's a battlefield tap. We'll gain another life to go up to 13. Red will tap 4 and cast the Basri's Lieutenant. This is a 3/4 human knight with vigilance, protection from multicolored, and when it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Whenever it or another creature you control dies, if it had a +1/+1 counter on it, create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. We'll put the counter on Basri's Lieutenant, making it a 4/5. We'll go to combat and we'll swing at the Ravenous Brutehead with Basri's Lieutenant and the Spellgorger Weird, and then we'll hold back Vito Thorn of the Duskrose. We'll defeat the Ravenous Brutehead, gaining us 2 life apiece to go up to 15 and 9. Then we'll reveal 2 cards to see if there are any new heads. We have another Ravenous Brutehead and a Hydra head. We'll draw a card each. Black draws an Archfiend's Vessel. Red draws a Caged Zombie. Black will tap 1 mana to cast the Archfiend's Vessel. And then we'll pass to the Hydra's turn. The Hydra will cast the topmost card, which is a Swallow the Hero Whole. Each player exiles a creature he or she controls until the Hydra's next turn. When a head leaves the battlefield, return the exiled card to the battlefield under their owner's control. So, we are going to exile the Archfiend's Vessel and the Spellgorger Weird. And then we're going to be set to take a whole bunch of damage, but before we do, we're going to tap 2 lands here. We'll cast the Scorching Dragonfire, targeting one of the Hydra heads. This will defeat this Hydra head, giving us 2 life apiece, taking us up to 17 and 11. We'll reveal 2 cards to see if there are any new heads. And then this will undo the Swallow the Hero Whole, the Archfiend's Vessel, and the Spellgorger will return. We'll take 5 damage each to go down to 12 and 6. And then we'll use the Harvester. Black draws a Scorching Dragonfire, and we will discard the Scorching Dragonfire. Red draws a Sure Strike, and we will discard the Caged Zombie. 1 tap. Black will draw a Griffinary, and red will draw a Liliana's Devotee. Red will play the Swamp. Black will play the Mountain. Black will tap out and cast a Blood Glutton. Red will tap out and cast the Terror of the Peaks. The Terror of the Peaks is a 5/4 dragon with flying. Spells your opponents cast that target Terror of the Peaks cost an additional 3 life to cast. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Terror of the Peaks deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target. Go ahead and tap the Warrior to give all of our new creatures haste, and we will attack the Ravenous Brutehead with the Spellgorger Weird and the Blood Glutton. We will attack one of the Hydra heads with the Basri's Lieutenant. We'll attack another Hydra head with the Terror of the Peaks, and that will defeat 2 Hydra heads and the Ravenous Brutehead. We'll gain 6 life each to go up to 18 and 12. Black will also gain 4 more life to go up to 22. And then the Hydra will be drained 10 life. That will take out the remaining head. So we'll reveal 8 cards to see if there are any new heads. We have a Ravenous Brutehead. And then we will pass to the Hydra. The Hydra will cast the topmost card, which is a Strike the Weak Spot. Destroy target head. If that head was elite, it takes an extra turn after this one. Might as well. We'll blow this one up. We'll gain 2 life apiece to go up to 24 and 14. And that will cause the Hydra to lose 2 life, but that doesn't matter. We'll reveal 2 cards to see if there are any new heads. No new heads. And so, even though the Hydra could take another turn, we defeat the Hydra pretty simply on this particular one, thanks to a ton of life gain and some strong cards here. Let me know what you thought about the games in the comments below. I know I made some major misses in terms of card effects. Hopefully I'll be better next time, but if you spotted anything that I didn't see, also let me know in the comments so I can learn from your wisdom. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of my videos, you can hit subscribe. This was Refresh. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.